I want to talk for a minute about something that Cam and I did for a client of his. I'm just going to share my screen. In Dotloop, when you come into Dotloop and you create a loop, you can find these. Let's say you're dealing with a seller who just is kind of being he's just real leery about signing anything or committing to anything. But he's like, yeah, you can show my house. I have a one-time, one showing agreement that's in Dotloop. So when you come into Dotloop and you create your loop, I'm going to go up here to enter the loop here. And in here under templates, you'll see a couple forms here that I've added, and it's called one-time showing agreement. So you click on that and go ahead and open that up. And this is just a quick little form that you can have them sign that just is real simple. That just gives you permission to do a one-time showing. Property owner, throw the tax map number in there, subdivision address, persons that you're showing. Basically, this protects you from your buyers doing a roundabout on you and going after the seller to sell to them directly. So it says on here, a sales commission is deemed earned and payable if persons being shown sign a valid contract now or at any time within the next year of the date of the signing of this agreement. So I want a year agreement that, hey, if that person wants to buy it, I'm going to give my commission. Smith & Grant Corp. is authorized to accept, receive, and hold until closing all escrow deposits. And the other item here is upon establishment of a particular sales price and terms, the undersigned agrees to enter into a customary written contract of sale agreement with the purchaser, which will contain the specific terms and conditions of the sale. Of course, what I'm going to do is as soon as my buyer wants to go ahead and write up an agreement, I'm just going to write it up and send it over to the seller to sign. Seller agrees to fill out a property disclosure of all known material, environmental, or other defects. And that buyer will be given an opportunity to review the disclosures before the buy-sell agreement is ratified. Basically, you don't want your buyer to be committed to the offer he's making if he hasn't even seen a disclosure, because your seller is dragging his feet on even doing one of those for you. So this kind of gives you an opportunity to get in there and show the place. Like in this example, the guy's got a renter in a condo. He wasn't really thinking of selling, but Cam got a hold of him and said, hey, got a buyer interested in the condo complex. What can we do to get in there and show your place and maybe bring you an offer you might like? And then it also says properties built prior to 1978 shall require the appropriate lead disclosure documentation. So basically, this is just a quick little one sheet. The last paragraph, the most important one, agency representation shall be in accordance with the attached South Carolina disclosure, and the undersigned agrees to pay Smith & Grant Real Estate Corp. a commission of 6% of the gross sales price of said property. Great little form. If you just have somebody that just maybe they don't really want to list, don't really want to do anything, but let you show it to a buyer that you know is interested. If you do get one of these, you can send out an email blast to agents in our office, or let us all know at a Tuesday meeting or something. Hey, I've got one of these on this place, because you could market it in our office as an off-market listing. Can't put it on the MLS, but you certainly could let everybody that you know. So there you go. Nice little form, quick and easy, quick and simple. And again, this is only for one-time showing agreement when the seller doesn't want to list it on the MLS, doesn't want you to market it, except to maybe just one person. Now, this can lead to a listing. That's why I use this. I mean, I try to get people to take little steps to get to the bigger steps, right? Can I put hey, do you mind if I tell a couple people about your place? Hey, do you mind if I put a sign in the yard? Do you mind if I talk to your neighbors? Do you mind if and, just taking little steps of commitments from them. This is another way to get a little step commitment. But I have used this form only 3 times since I've been licensed. So it's not a form I use a lot. Usually I can always get people to sign a full listing agreement and just put in the contingencies of that they only want to have one showing or don't want it in the MLS, or you can make all kinds of notes. And just for fun, we'll pull up a listing agreement real fast. So here's the listing agreement. At the very last page of the listing agreement, you have other terms and conditions. And this whole section here, you can basically write whatever you agree to with the seller. This agreement is good for a one-time showing dated, 4/2 for customer so-and-so. I mean, you can get that detailed in your other terms and conditions. It could say, customer doesn't want to be in the MLS. This listing agreement is only if I find a buyer. I mean, you can put whatever you want in that little paragraph. So this agreement's fully cancelable. This agreement only applies to if I find a buyer. If the seller finds their own buyer, then this doesn't apply, or I'll take only 1% and still represent them. I mean, you can write up in here whatever you want. So use this paragraph for all that stuff normally. But knowing that one-time show agreement, one slip is in there, that's sometimes a handy little thing to have to send somebody to sign. One signature, one spot to fill out. You're on your way. Any questions about that, anybody? The other thing that has been updated now in Dotloop is when you come in and you go to your loop. Let's go to my sample loop. And when I open this up, if I want to add another document, I'm going to go to my templates. And we now have a template in here for broker to broker referral is in here, all ready to go. So copy that. Bring that in. We'll just review this form real quick. Basically, all my information is in here. The broker to broker referral, in order for it to be legal from one state to another, or one brokerage to another, it has to flow through the broker in charge, which in this case is me. Put your information in as the referring agent, whether they're buyer, seller, renter. Put your customer information, leave any notes in here, destination broker information. So find out who the broker in charge is that you're going to send this to for a signature. And then you're going to email this to them. And basically this says referral fee is 25% of the total commission collected from the sale before splits within a 24-month period. So basically we're saying I'm referring this person to you. They buy anytime in the next 2 years, you owe me a referral fee. In the event that the sale results from this referral within a period of 24 months of the original date, destination broker agrees to pay the original broker at the time of closing. So that's the quick little broker to broker referral form. Very simple, easy to use. Great way to make a couple grand while you're sitting at home fishing. I think that's all the updates I have to go over in Dotloop. Oh, also remember in Dotloop that you do have your task templates. And once you get somebody under contract, or you write a listing agreement, or you write you sign a buyer agency agreement, someone wants to make an offer, there's all these checklists in here. So we have a buyer checklist. These are all the things that you need to ask a buyer, know about a buyer if they're going to buy something. All the different tasks of what you would need to do once it's under contract. And then seller, all the different seller tasks as well are all in here. So once you've got, something signed, go in and add these tasks to your loop. And then that way you can manage your contract better. It lets our admin know what you want done to the file. So, and if I go back to our sample real quick, if I open this up, I go to I go down here to tasks, say load a template, and I want to bring in the agent listing checklist. This is everything as an agent I will need to do or oversee being done to make sure that everything gets done that needs to be done. So agency disclosure form, signed and uploaded. Well, you need a disclosure form if they're going to do a listing agreement, property disclosure and HOAs. Get signed lead paint disclosure if needed. So if you don't need any of these, you can just go over here and click delete it. Or you could also rename it for this particular file if you want, just to help keep your life nice and simple and keep your admin helping as best that he can, is if all these things are deleted if you don't need them for this particular file. Ask attorney to do a free lien check on the title. We have one right now where Cassie had a sale, and wouldn't you know it, we got all the way to a week away from closing, and voila, there's an old mortgage from 1970 something on the property that hasn't been satisfied, and that company's out of business. So now the attorney's, having to scramble to try to figure out a way to get that satisfied, find out who to track down to even get it satisfied, or get a insurance company to insure the title. And then they need to do their due diligence to ensure that they're not going to end up owing that money to the mortgage company so that they can issue the insurance on it. So kind of a mess. You run into these things. I've run into them before too. When I do, I try to just contact the bank directly myself with my client. We'll write a nice letter and just say, hey, based on the fact that, you haven't been paid in 30 years and we'd like to settle for $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever, just try to see if it'll go away. And it usually works. They'll usually accept a small portion. Like I had a guy who had a condo, and he had fully financed the house, taken out a second, and then he went bankrupt. And he named, his second on the bankruptcy. So the second left the lien against the house because they still have a right to that money if the house ever sells, even though they're named in the bankruptcy. So they have right to that equity. So we came down to trying to figure out how to get this thing down to where we could sell it and he could make some money. He owed about 30 grand on his second. And we wrote a letter to Wells Fargo and just said, will you accept $4,000? We're trying to close this property and it's overfinanced. Will you accept $4,000? And they took it. So he went down, stroked a check for $4 grand, got rid of that second mortgage, was satisfied. Now he had 30,000 equity in his condo, was able to use that for down payment on the next place. Got him into a house. So those are the kind of things that, can come up with a sale, having these forms ready to go, those kind of things. And then having a free lien check done. This is a good one to be thinking of. Mark Week's office, he has people on staff that check titles all day long. So he's told us he'd be happy to do a free check on any listings that you get if you just call him and give him the address, or email him, give him the address, and he'll check. Just make sure there's nothing obvious hanging out there from 1970 or in an old bankruptcy or whatever. So anyway, so you can always delete any of these tasks. You can add tasks down here. So if there's something specific that you want, that you're going to need for this listing that you know of. So use these tasks. They're very helpful in just keeping track of your contract in the loop. So this way, everything's all in one location. That's what I love about this program.